Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a dual program today. I've got Nate Solia, the owner and founder of Elite Personal Training. He is a holistic personal trainer, and he can tell you about himself. I'm Lachlan Campbell. I'm the founder and owner of Mad Success. I am a life and financial empowerment coach and trainer. Nate, so we decided to come together because Nate focuses on physical health, but holistic overall health. I focus on financial health, but holistic overall health as well. But we really come at it from two different ways, don't we? I mean, you come at it from really the physical side of life. I come from the financial side. And so we wanted to share with you, we see a lot of commonalities, a lot of traits that are similar if you want to be physically healthy and financially healthy. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why you're here.
Well, look, thanks, man. Thanks for the invite. I mean, I love talking about health. I love talking about physical fitness. I've been in the business for over 20 years now, and my journey has come from a background of doing sport when I was a kid. My father, and I found this over the Christmas holidays, is my father has really been my inspiration to me of keeping physically fit. He's now 80 years old.
Wow.
He exercises every day of the week apart from Sunday because he goes to go to church on Sunday. and I realized that's how I become this person I am, because I've been inspired by my dad.
Yeah.
And so, fast forward, until I became a personal trainer when I was 26, I was living a sort of debauched life. You go through university, right, where you're sort of drinking and partying and getting no sleep, eat lots of pizza.
Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life.
Right. And I got to 26 and I was like, I'm sick and tired of feeling like this way. So I thought, well, why not become a personal trainer? And so that was what I did. So I became a PT when I was 26. And, back then in the 90s, it was a job before you got a real job, right? And, and now I'm 51 and, 20.
You don't look a day over 49.
Thanks. Well, I feel like I'm still in my 20s. But the thing is like, this 25-year journey that I've been on with physical health.
Yeah,
it's taught me a lot, and being on the cusp of health, and as the introduction you gave me, and holistic health, and what I mean by that is like surrounding yourself with the things that make you healthy, and what I call my 6 pillars. And 6 pillars is mindset, breathing, hydration, nutrition, exercise, and sleep. And just to clarify, exercise.
Those are all, except for mindset, they're really physical. That's all the physical elements, right?
Well, yeah, it is, and a mindset is sort of the mental part, right?
I get that.
And the thing is like, I'd spent a lot of my time when I first started out in very much the physical, and it was the bottom 5, breathing, hydration, nutrition, exercise, and sleep.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't focused on the mindset piece, and that's what really resonated with me when I was in my 40s. And
so it took a little while for you to kind of connect into it. And what was the trigger for that? What spurred mindset for you?
Oh, I was massively depressed.
Oh, wow.
I reached an age when I was about 42 that I was just like going, what am I doing? Where am I going with all of this sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And
sounds heavy.
It was.
Look how your voice
was just so heavy.
Your body posture just went down.
Oh my gosh, you're bringing back bad memories for me. But it was an awakening for me. And when I started working on that mindset piece, it was a game changer for the other 5.
You said it was an awakening. Tell me about that. How did you move from this kind of state of depression? And believe me, I've been there.
Yeah.
How did you move from that into this awakening? What was the trigger?
Well, I think the first thing was, I've been working with a business coach for quite a few years before that. And he put me onto a book called The Miracle Morning.
Oh, sure. Hal Elrod.
Yeah,
I've read it.
And it was...
I practice it.
Yeah.
Basically, my own version of it.
Right. And then I started tapping into... the Landmark Forum. I also started tapping into, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And
done it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that this is just my point of view. I think, physiologically, throughout history, we haven't lived much older than our 40s or 50s, right?
That's true.
I mean, generally, if you went back 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago,
you wouldn't 100 years.
You wouldn't even live that long,
Correct.
right? I mean, you get a cut. You get it infected. We didn't have any, antiseptic or anything like that. We don't. right? So I
Yeah.
think a big part is our mental brain is only prepared for that sort of period of time.
So just to interject, I read this morning in The Economist that we are now 50% of people are in North America are expected to live to be 89.
Whoa.
50% over the next 2 decades
Yeah.
are expected to live up to 89, and that means the tail is now, the sort of
Yeah.
the ultimate end, 108 to 109 they're predicting now.
Wow.
For the typical kind of bell
Yeah.
curve of aging. So we're all getting older faster.
Yeah.
I mean, and staying older
Well,
longer.
exactly. I mean, and I think also this is part of why the insurance companies are starting to invest a lot of money in physical health for their insurance.
Proactive health.
Proactive
rather
health,
than
yeah.
reactive insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of these insurance companies are now starting to go, okay, well, we will offer a certain part of the insurance policy to go and join a gym.
Yeah.
So I think the industry is changing and realizing that we're
100%.
living longer. Now, here's the caveat, though, which I'm starting to realize is that even though we're living longer, we are starting to take more and more, or the population is taking more daily drugs. Whether that's blood thinners, whether that's lower cholesterol drugs, whether that's constipation pills, or whether that's or whatever that can be for people.
Yeah.
So are we actually living longer, or we're just surviving longer?
Right.
So this is where
that's a really beautiful point.
Right. So a lot of the things, I'm realizing in the 25 years of being in this in the industry. Is that people are starting to realize that the lifestyle that we lived in our 20s and 30s is not sustainable into our 40s and 50s and 60s.
Yes.
And so we're starting to curve that, and how we do that is just through physical health.
Yes.
And
you include diet in that, and I don't like the word diet. As Tony Robbins used to say, the first 3 letters of diet are die. It's never fun. It's never fun. So it's about nutrition and healthy eating and combining that with exercise.
And then within a lifestyle.
To create a healthy body, create a healthy mind, create a healthy life. And those are the 6 things that you were focusing on, right?
Yeah. And that was what I was saying. It was like, mindset affects our physical health, and physical health affects our mind. I mean, how many times when you get that moment of panic, and your hands start to get sweaty,
yes,
and your heart rate starts to rise,
yes,
that's your brain influencing the physiology within your body. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so people say your stomach is your second brain. Mm-hmm. Well, it's true. I mean, have you ever had a time when you eat rubbish food, and then all of a sudden you feel lethargic? Or you feel like you want to go to sleep.
Sure, absolutely.
Or
get that nap after lunch.
Yeah. Or you eat that packet of sugar and you're like, yay! And then crash. You see that in kids. Even the kids don't even realize they're doing it, and yet we know, and yet we still reach for that sugar.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing with that mental and the physical, and this is what attracted to me to you to have this show with you, because the thing is I can see a lot of commonalities between the physical and the financial and the financial wealth that we're all looking to create.
Yeah, and so thank you very much for sharing all of that, because it's really important. I live that way, and you know that. So I met Nate. Excuse me. I met Nate through mutual friends, but I woke up one day, and this is about 9 years ago, when I had my slip discs.
Yes.
So I woke up one day and couldn't move. I mean, I had the most excruciating back pain, as anyone who's ever been through that knows. And I went to 3 different orthopedic surgeons to see should I be getting surgery on my back or not. And the first 2 said, yes, you need to have the knife. We got to fix up your slip disc. I had 2. And then the third guy that I went to, because I really wanted to have multiple opinions, was a doctor at a university, and he said, no, you don't need to. What you need to do is get a trainer who can work on your core and really help you to look at your stretching and how you're sitting and how you're moving. And that was Nate for me. And 9 years later, I've not had that back pain ever since. I have a little bit of sciatica down my left side, but Nate and his gym, basically they healed me. So Nate worked with me for almost a year. He brought in a few of his specialist trainers as well. We did some chiro, we did some, back massage work and what have you. But basically, he transformed my body. And so ever since then, I've been living the kind of EPT way, and I really bought into it because it's helped me lose massive weight. It's helped me to stay my back health and my overall health. But and so I choose. I'm 5 years older than Nate. I'm 56 now, but I'm in great shape. I mean, I could be in better shape, but but so what I've noticed over the years, and COVID in particular, and you raised the point about financial health. So COVID has exacerbated financial stress. And now when you read in any kind of mental health website or mental health report or the surveys they do, the number one cause right now of mental health problems is money stress, is financial stress. And so financial stress ties in to any kind of stress that you're wearing, that you're feeling, the tension in your shoulders, the stress up your neck, whatever it is, however you feel stress, financial stress right now is weighing on most people. And so what's beautiful and why we felt we should come together was physical release and mental health, and how you manage your mental stress, how you manage your mental health. I do it through meditation. I do it through journaling every morning. That's where I got that from Hal Elrod and his Miracle Morning. I do that every day. And so I manage my stress by exercise, really careful eating, how I eat. I don't diet, but I eat vegetables at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that was new for me. I never had vegetables at breakfast, but I use that to manage my own financial stress, my own sort of mental health. I'm really careful about all these things. And so we thought, well, you know what? There's a lot of commonalities in kind of the habits that we have every day, how we live our life every day. We felt there's a lot of commonalities, a lot of similarities between how you become physically healthy and how you become financially healthy. And that's why we want to have these episodes and share this with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the vegetables for breakfast.
I do every day. Yeah. I have a salad. Well, I don't want to cook.
Well, just in case if you don't want to have a salad for breakfast, one of the things that I got was a NutriBullet. Have you heard of a NutriBullet?
No.
So it's like a really high-powered blender, and you probably see it on
bullet.
Like
the bullet.
The bullet, right? And so that way you can put vegetables in it. So I went from, just to give you a bit of background on me, when I was a kid, I didn't eat vegetables at all, right?
Wow.
And so, it was a real struggle. And I was sick a lot when I was a kid, had a lot of runny noses. I was sick probably 1 or 2 days a month.
Yeah.
And then as I started learning all this stuff, I started, okay, right, I'm going to have vegetables. Started having vegetables for dinner. I thought that was enough. And then I realized I should be having it for lunch. And now what I do is I actually have a NutriBullet every second or third day for breakfast. So I can put all the vegetables in there, fill it up with, either...
So, what is your recipe? What do you do?
Oh, you can put anything in there. So I put lettuce in there, I put berries in there, carrots in there. It's so powerful. It can blend anything.
Okay, and what liquids do you add? And do you add some kind of like protein powder or something?
Yeah, you can put protein powder. I put nuts in there, so I soak my nuts. I put that in there, so that's quite cool. And like I said, you can put some protein powder.
We want to keep this a clean show,
Yeah. We won't talk about body parts.
Soaking your nuts.
But you just fill it up with water, and it's got a line on there, and it blends it up, and it makes it, it's not. You can make it as.
But it's basically speed veggie.
Yeah, exactly.
You're drinking your vegetables.
Yeah, so
amazing.
So if you struggle to eat vegetables, I highly recommend this because it also comes with like a little menu book that you can try out different types of recipes and stuff. But really, you can just mix and match and try different things out in it.
So I will have a very healthy breakfast. Is my biggest meal typically with protein, a little bit of carb, and veg. And then for lunch, most days, because I'm busy in the studio, usually writing whatever I'm doing, I'll do, you call it a NutriBullet, probably because that's the brand name of the little machine.
Yeah.
But I have a big blender. And so what I'll do is very similar. So I'll do 6 ounces of water, 6 ounces of oat milk, because I don't drink dairy anymore. And then I'll put in, I don't usually measure it, I just kind of pour it in, but it's usually about 2 to 3 cups of frozen kale and spinach.
Yeah.
And so I'll buy it fresh and then I freeze it.
Mm.
And then I put that in. It's usually 2 or 3 cups. And then I have a non-whey protein. I have your lean green.
Oh, the
clean lean green.
Yeah, clean lean protein.
Yeah,
clean lean the vegetarian protein powder.
It's a vegetarian
really
protein
good.
powder from New
Nuzest.
Zealand. From
yes,
New Zealand.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Nuzest.
I actually met the owner.
Oh,
He's a really nice guy, man.
it's amazing stuff.
Well, I'll give you the history on him. He had a daughter that had autoimmune disease.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
And so
wow.
what he did is he started going throughout the
You
whole
don't have
world.
to whisper.
Well, yeah.
It's
So-
like a secret.
It's a secret. And he went throughout the world trying to find, how he could cure this.
Yes.
And he came back with, obviously organic, natural, high dense, nutritious foods. And so what he started to do is he started to get all the stuff, dry it all out, and then mull it all up, and
Oh,
he
wow.
made it into this protein powder and
wow.
another product called Good Green Stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen that
Yeah.
from you, actually, from your gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So
that was
I
it.
put that in, and I think I probably learned that from you. I probably got that stuff from you. And then I'll put in a little protein kick. I buy organic eggs, and so I'll put in egg white.
Yeah.
I'll separate the yolk. I toss it out. I don't do much baking, so I don't keep the yolk. So I put the egg white in, and then I usually will put in some frozen blueberries. Again, I buy them fresh. I freeze them, and then it just, keeps it chilled and what have you, and I don't have to put in much ice. So I put in the blueberries, the veggies. Often I'll put in egg white, not always. I'll put in 2 scoops of the clean lean protein, and then I'll do 6 ounces of water, 6 ounces of oat milk, and it's perfect. And in my big blender, that's a meal. I mean, it's a proper meal.
Yeah.
So I've got a decent amount of protein with the egg white. I'm probably looking at around 40 grams of protein in there, and then I've got 3 cups of veg. So that's like a big salad in there, and that's my meal. That's my afternoon sustenance.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and then I have a small dinner. I'll have a little bit of protein and more veg, and that's my dinner.
Yeah. So, do you put any oils or anything in
I
there?
used to. I don't anymore. I used to
Okay.
have that Udo's oil.
Udo's
I
369?
Yeah, and I used to put some of the specialized coconut oil, the MCD.
Yep.
I used to do that. I don't anymore. I find it just too fussy. There's too many things.
Oh, okay.
Too many. Oh, what I do put in is I have this beautiful. I order it out of the States. I used to get in huge jugs when I had my bakery years ago. Nielsen Massey, vanilla, not extract, it's the vanilla paste. And so I pour some of that in, and I get that real vanilla. The clean, lean protein I use is also vanilla flavored. And so then I add a little bit of extra vanilla in, and that really helps bring out the flavor of it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, for me, oils, have you read a book called Fats That Heal and Fats That Kill? So it's actually written by Udo Rasmus.
Yeah,
by
no,
the
I
guy
don't
who
think I
does
have.
the Udo's oil. And so his
I have
deal
your
is
Eat, Move, Sleep. Eat, Move.
How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy.
Be healthy. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic
I mean, that's
book.
my Bible, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my Bibles. But back to the fats is like, making sure that you're getting good quality fats, because, before we started separating fats, because we thought this was going to help with our weight loss, we didn't separate fats.
Yeah.
And fats are necessary for brain health.
Yep.
You've got to make sure you got it for kids. And
Through
then
nuts.
Yep.
Kids we usually give our kids dairy, right?
Yeah.
Which gives them the fats, but we also get it from our proteins, our meats.
Well, there's 3 types of fats, right? In fact, I would even say 4. So there's saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, and of course the real devil is the hydrogenated vegetable oils, or the trans fat.
The trans fat.
So we've got to obviously eliminate the trans fat as much as we can.
Yeah.
And how
read your labels.
Yeah. So and the thing is, you got to look on the label if it says polyunsaturated or hydrogenated vegetable oils, and they're the ones you want to avoid in anything.
Polyunsaturated.
Polyunsaturated. And
hydrogenated.
And hydrogenated vegetable oils.
Say that fast 3 times.
Yeah, hydrogenated vegetables or trans fat.
Yeah.
Now, polyunsaturated vegetable oil is actually in vegetables, right? So we get a lot of polyunsaturated. Yeah, it's natural. But the thing is,
but it is trans fats, right?
When you cook it, it becomes trans fat. So it spoils really easily, right?
Okay.
Whereas monounsaturated and saturated don't spoil very easily, which is why we should be using them for cooking.
Right.
But polyunsaturated, like I said, you get in the vegetables that you have. So really, do we have to add more? No.
If we're going to do a stir fry, or if I'm going to say do scrambled eggs, I use bran oil, a whole bran oil, because it has a very high heat threshold and doesn't break down, so it's not cancer causing. So a lot of oils, are good vegetable oils, actually break down. Like olive oil is terrible to cook with on a pan because it breaks down quickly, and it's known to be carcinogenic if it goes up to too high a heat. So I use this bran oil because I was told that doesn't do that.
Well, I would also suggest even cooking with coconut oil.
Okay.
You can even cook with.
And it also has a high heat threshold.
It's a very high threshold.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ghee is also another high threshold.
What is ghee? I hear about ghee in these health books.
Ghee is an oil away from butter. So ghee is from cows.
It also is cow fat.
Yes,
right?
Cow fat or lard. Lard is also pork fat.
Yeah, my mom used to use that sometimes in the bottom of the pan for flavor.
Dripping and stuff like that. So using a stable fat, like a saturated fat, is a really, really beneficial and healthy way of cooking. Now, I know people say, "Oh, I shouldn't have so much fat." Well, just paste, just paste it.
Yeah.
And when you do stir fries, it's like you can use even just a little bit of water in there, with your garlic.
Well, it helps steam
it up as well.
Yeah.
So you can still use it, but just avoid having polyunsaturated fats or vegetable oils when you cook.
Now, I'm going to get us back on track. I think we're giving you lots of little tips and things about being healthy, but we also wanted to talk about why we're doing this. And a big part of why we're doing this is impact in the community. Because Nate and I both, and this is why we've become friends over the years, the last decade, is we're both driven by purpose. We both have a why. And our why is to give back to our community. I want you to talk about your why and how you went from income focused to becoming impact focused.
Well, my entire life, I'm Samoan. I'm the smallest Samoan you'll ever meet.
Samoa. Do you know where that is?
Yeah.
South Pacific, north of New Zealand.
Right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And it's the smallest island with the biggest people, right? And so, when we started, when I started...
Samoa rugby.
Yeah,
Samoa.
We've been very poor, and it's always been around, okay, let's have as many kids as we can so we can put them to work.
Right.
And so I lived my whole life of chasing money.
That's a very rural, agricultural way of thinking, right?
Yes.
Back in the 1800s, 1700s, and so on, have more kids because then there's more hands for labor.
Exactly.
Right?
So, my...
So interesting. It's still kind of that way, right?
Yeah. So I grew up with this very much money focus. And so when I got into the industry, it was very much about,
because you were poor.
I didn't have much money.
Right.
Yeah.
So money became a priority.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. It was be able to acquire wealth. But the thing was, when I started to realize is that it was just not sustainable. I was continually
Sorry, what
being
wasn't
unhappy.
Sustainable?
Well, chasing money.
Right.
And
it's not fulfilling.
It's not fulfilling.
Right.
It wasn't at all.
Yeah.
It was sort of like chasing that carrot. You get the carrot and you go, oh, that's not as good as I thought. Oh, I'll chase the next carrot.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get the next lit of money.
You do, and you think that getting that first 100,000 or getting that first $500,000 or whatever your numbers are, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, okay, well, I got that. Now what? And you're not fulfilled.
No.
Mate, I've lived the same path.
Yeah.
So interesting. Carry on. Sorry.
And so, I started, like I said, I started sort of reading books and finding out that, what's my real purpose?
Yeah.
And what I've realized is that I'm really good at motivating people to get healthy and start taking their health and fitness seriously.
But how did you discover that?
Through practice, through self-discovery, through just seeing my clients change.
So when you started as a personal trainer, you were working for other people first?
When I became a personal trainer, I was working in a gym that sold license agreements. So I was in effect working for myself, But
You were getting
within
commissions.
well, no, you paid the gym to be there,
Oh,
and when I paid the gym, then it was up to me to get the clients from the client base that they had.
I understand. Okay.
Right. So
Okay.
my
Ooh,
worth was all based on how many sessions I did a week.
right.
And it like I said, it just wasn't fulfilling. Hey,
Yeah.
I had the money every week, and then I blew all the money, and then I wasn't really
Guilty.
living. Yeah, I wasn't
Guilty.
really living the lifestyle that I really, really wanted to
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so what I started to realize is when I started to contribute to others, that was where my happiness was. It wasn't about me
But this
anymore.
was a slow burn, or you woke up one day and said, wow, I realized that when I'm doing this,
Yeah, that's interesting.
helping
Was it a
this,
slow burn, or where there
yeah,
was a realization and then it was that's rubbish, and there was a realization of, oh, rubbish. I reached about when I got to 42. Like
okay,
I said, I'd
yeah.
spent, my five, my spent all of that time on the bottom five pillars, whereas mindset, and I didn't realize how important mindset was until I started to.
So you carry on,
Yeah,
sorry.
and I started realizing that mindset was really where it made me happy.
So that's really interesting. So your connection to mindset, which you said at the beginning, you were on the physical side of things, but when you connected in your early 40s to mindset, that also then connected you to purpose.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, my purpose is to enrich people's lives so they inspire others to do the same.
Beautiful. I
I
love that.
I train very wealthy people. I train very influential people because they can afford the services that I offer. But my but up until that stage, it was always about chasing the money, right?
Yeah.
But I started to realize that these people have so much power. They have a lot of responsibility. Their family, their business, the community that they contribute to.
Sure.
And the last thing I need is for them to be focusing on their poor health. So, that way
Yeah.
they take away from what they're trying to do. So my purpose is, and this is why I love what I do, is because I love inspiring them to realize that this is not about them. This is about the people that are around them, they contribute to.
Their sort of circle of influence, their sphere of influence.
Absolutely.
Right.
And some of them have got bigger ones and some of them have got smaller ones.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we need to live longer. We need to thrive longer. And when we thrive longer, then we can really expand our game. And so that was the one of the epiphanies that I got was that the longer we live and the healthier we live, then the more contribution we give to others, the more wealth you can gain.
Yeah.
We talked about this before.
Yeah. So this is what's a beautiful thing is really this balance as you start discovering your purpose, as you start discovering what matters to you in your life, what you value from beyond yourself, from beyond perhaps your immediate family, but really, how are you going to contribute into the community? And for me, very similar to Nate, I discovered, in my 40s, and then really moving into my 50s was, well, for 30, 40 years, I've looked at, ever since I started working back in my 20s, I was always really interested in why we don't offer financial education in our schools. And so it's been something that I've been researching, collecting material on over decades. And finally, I thought, you know what, I got to do something about this. And it really spurred, though, I think, from I had a cupcake bakery, Hong Kong's first, back in 2007 to 2010. And one of the things that really moved me was having birthday parties for little kids. I loved it. I loved it, mate. I was in my element. And when I talk about it, I just light up, right? I loved it. And it was really that, and I didn't make money off it. I really didn't. I tried to, but it was more about having 25 3-year-olds in the bakery sitting up on this massive table. And I thought, God, this is awesome. And that just wasn't available in Hong Kong. No one was doing anything like that. Really interactive, really live in a full-grown, full proper bakery, right? These kids went nuts. All the colored sprinkles in boxes up on the wall that they could see. I would take them into the walk-in fridge and they could see their breath for the first time, stuff like that. It was really cool. But it started to trigger to me there's more in life than just me going, I was a banker for, many 30 years. But I left it to do this cupcake bakery business for about 3.5, 4 years. And it really triggered in me, there's so much more to life than making money. And in my early career was all about, how do I progress, how do I get the next bonus, how do I get the next title, how do I make more money on my salary. And it was me. And yes, I was starting to raise a family, but it was so me focused. And with Mad Success, with what I do now, it's all about community focus. It really is. I want to empower people to have healthier lives. And for me, health is the big five, right? It's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. Those are the big five for me. And that's why for you and I, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual really tie together. But the financial, you've lived that journey and you know that. So we're both very, very much about impact and income. The more income we make, the more we can give back, the more we can, extend our sphere of influence into the community. And so that you find this balance, and it's not all about focusing on the money. It's about focusing on, how do we give back? How do we help in our communities? And we have fairly different communities, but we actually have quite a bit of overlap as well. And that's what I've loved about what you're doing. And it really resonates with me. And yeah, we've worked together. Nate, as I said, fixed my back, but you are doing such a beautiful thing in the community here in Hong Kong, and really in terms of getting out there and helping people. Like through COVID, Nate's gym was shut down for 10 months.
10 months.
Think about that. His livelihood, his income was gone for 10 months. But then when things started, we were allowed to get onto the beaches, even with masks on, you just started bringing people from the community saying, come on, let's just at least exercise. Let's get out there. Let's go to the beach. Let's do some hikes. And I just thought it was amazing. It was creative, but it was really beautiful the way you started trying to just keep people healthy, keep people moving. And that was really important, and that's where you and I have such an alignment in terms of how we want people to be healthy. Because if you're weighed down by financial stress, there's the way to deal with that, obviously, is to deal with your money, have proper money management skills. And that's what we teach and talk about at Mad Success. But dealing with stress is about your daily habits. And so today was all about healthy success habits. We're talking about those, in sort of a circuitous way, giving tips and bits here and there, what we do and how we live healthy lives. But it's so much about having these daily success habits. And this is where, we've both read and follow kind of Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. And he talks about these morning habits and what you do. And so my morning habits, I get up every day and I meditate for 10 minutes. I use an app called Waking Up by Sam Harris. And by the way, we're not selling these products. We're not telling you about them. We're giving them out as ideas because they work for us. They work for us. And maybe later when we have more subscribers, we can sell this stuff. But it's about impact, not the income. So I do Waking Up for 10 minutes. I then journal. And some days I'll just journal 2 sentences, what I'm grateful for, 3 things I'm grateful for. Other days I'll write more. I'll write about, what am I stressed about? What am I concerned about? What am I happy about? What's going great? What went well last week? What didn't and needed some improvement, from last week or from last month, and relationships that are having some tension, and what can I do about that? What's my negative contribution, and how can I adjust that so I have a better relationship with, say a particular person? You can journal about anything, whatever moves you, but that really helps me when I journal and meditate. My negative thought spirals, my daily judgment of myself, of others, of circumstance, it really calms it. In most cases, disappears.
Yeah.
When I exercise, and I exercise every day. Even if I can't get to the gym, I have a 40-minute loop up the hill and around and back down to the beach. I live just 60 seconds from the beach. Beautiful surf beach called Big Wave Bay here in Hong Kong. And it's an incredible place to be outdoors. I've got the mountains at my back and the water at my front. Surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, swimming. It's beautiful. And so I use these things every day to really alleviate my stress. whether it's financial stress or work stress or kids stress or whatever it is. The things that you teach every day to people, how to have this healthy lifestyle, including having a healthy financial lifestyle, is what's really, really important, and finding that balance, right? And
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I love how you've been journaling and meditating every day, because I think, if we can create some habits to be able to calm that, that inner dialogue of whatever that may be for you, then it sets you up for the day.
yeah,
Because, we're being exposed to stresses of work, stresses with people, in relationships, our family, whatever that may be, financial stress.
yeah.
And we just got to get really clear that all of that stuff, is not real. It's all what makes you up here. And so if you can calm all that stuff in your mind, then you've got a platform to go from.
That's an interesting point. And I've said this, I'm a success coach, life coach. I was speaking with a client last week who I was saying to him, look, that's these fears we have, the saboteur voices in our head, the judge in our head, it's not real. And he said, well, it is real, because I react and I get angry and I do judge, and it makes me feel the way I feel, and I get tense and I get angry. And he goes, that's real. I go, yeah, but it's because you're not living in the moment. He goes, yeah, I've read all about that, being present, and it's hooey. You know what? Your life is all about, what you've lived and where you're going. So it's past and present and future, but, and what I get, and after I've been meditating since 2017, it's now 2023, pretty much every day, not every day, but I try every day for 6 years. And, it's really interesting when someone denies the power of being in the moment, in the now. For me, being in the now, living in the moment, and being present, especially when you're with other people, when you're present with them, you're a far better listener. You're a far better communicator. If you're living in the moment, you feel your body. You feel if you're getting tense. You feel if you're getting stressed. You feel if you're getting triggered to get angry. But if you're constantly thinking about, well, what am I going to say next, and how, and this person pissed me off last week, and you're living in the past, or you're living in the future. You're not living in the moment and what's real. And what's real is this instant. Right now, what's real is Nate and I are sitting on 2 elevated chairs and an elevated desk in a studio with lights. That's what's real. That's all that's happening. The rest of the world could be imploding around us. What's real is we're here. We're here right now in this moment. That's the only thing that exists. Yes, my son is over at school, and your kids are at school, and our significant others are elsewhere, and friends are elsewhere, but they're not here. They're in our mind. We're going to see them later, or we're going to, we saw them yesterday, or we saw them this morning, and they're in the past or in the future. But what's real is what's here right now. It's just the two of us.
And that's a really good point, because I used to go into that, what's happening later, and what have I done in the past? And I used a technique. It was called, it was just basically, I'm looking at the, glass of water. Oh, now I'm looking at you. Oh, I'm looking at the sky. Oh, I'm looking at the light. And when I started just focusing on things that were around me, it pulled me out of my head, because I've had times where I've just been driving my car and I didn't even know how I got there.
Yeah. Oh, that's right? Scary.
And so
that's scary.
And so the thing
it just becomes this blank, because you're stuck. You're driving on autopilot,
thinking of the past, thinking of the future. And I think a big part of it is, and nothing wrong about the human. I mean, the thing is, as a human being, is this is how we've survived. Right. Yeah. We've thought about what we're going into. Should we go in there? It's like the whole COVID thing. When it first started, it was all about, should we wear a mask? Should we not wear a mask? Is this thing going to kill me? Is it not going to kill me?
Think of the fear related to that.
The fear related to that.
Yeah.
And so, but as time has gone on, and as we now know what this does, and we know what it doesn't do, we now are comfortable with it. It's like walking down a dark alleyway and not knowing what's down there and thinking twice of going. It's called the flinch.
Yeah.
We flinch about going down there or not. But if you turn the lights on and you could see what was down there, you'd be like, yeah, I'm happy as Larry. And it totally changes your mindset. It totally changes your physiology.
Absolutely.
And so that point about the meditation is like the meditation for me, because I practice meditation every day.
Beautiful.
And I've had times where I've fallen off it as well, but I've been practicing since 2012.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is with it, I had a good friend of mine who's a Buddhist monk, and he came and taught us how to do walking meditation and meditation. And what I got from it was exactly that thing, is living in the moment. And meditation was all about just detaching our thoughts from what is going on in our head of what you think is going to be in the future or what has happened in the past, and living in that moment. It was like as if I was in a movie and I was able to just disconnect from being in that movie for 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever that may be. And gosh, and if you've never tried meditation, then you can try different things like Headspace. You can go to a meditation practice.
There's
lots of apps you can do. You can even Google YouTube. But one of the things that I do with meditation is it just allows me to stop thinking of the future and the past for that little time. And gosh, every time I do, it feels great.
And what's really important is, and as Nate said, if you've never meditated before or you've tried and failed, look, meditation's not about turning off your thoughts. It's not about turning off your brain. What it is trying to step away from the thought. And what Sam Harris does in the app Waking Up that I really resonate with is he gets you, if you're starting to, you try and calm, he says, okay, focus on the breath. And so you close your eyes, you start breathing, you focus on, maybe the breath coming in, you kind of feel your diaphragm expand. And then all of a sudden you start thinking about, oh, what do I have to do next week or tonight, or who am I meeting? It's okay. So focus on the thought, concentrate on the thought, and then let the thought dissolve away. Really go in your mind, go and look at the thought. What is the picture that's coming up? Who's the person you're meeting that you're visualizing? Go and look at it, concentrate on it. And what you'll find is it will dissipate. And then you can just start again, get back to the breath. And that's what it's all about. It's not about making yourself wrong. Oh, I had a thought. Okay, I failed at meditation. No. I get thoughts all the time. In fact, it's funny because in Sav's, in the 10 minutes that I do, it'll be 3 minutes in and he'll all of a sudden say, and if you're now having a thought, look at the thought. I'm like, he caught me. Like I'm in the middle of some thought. You're like, oh yeah. But it doesn't mean I fail at meditation. It's a great reminder. And so then you come back to whatever you're trying to do. Maybe you're focusing on what you hear. Maybe you're focusing on how you feel. What if there's a cold air on your arm, or you're feeling sweaty, and what does that feel like? Or is there a tingling in your hair, or is there a scratch on your calf? And to me, that's about living in the moment. That's about just being present to your body, how you're sensing and feeling, but also your whole surroundings. And then there's some really crazy visualization exercises that you can do. And a lady called Shakti Gawain, she's done awesome stuff on awesome videos and books on mindfulness meditation. And she does visualizations, one called the pink bubble technique, where you think about something that you really want in your life and you imagine putting it inside a pink bubble, and then you just let the pink bubble drift off into the universe. And it's out there, and it's in the ether, and it's gone beyond. But that idea that, maybe it's a new business you wanted to start, or a certain amount of money you wanted to have, or just some goal, right? You want to marry that woman, and you're visualizing what life will be like with her or him in the future. And that's this pink bubble technique. It's really funny, but I love it. I love doing those kind of visualizations because I find they really stick me into the moment, because then I'm really visualizing, concentrating on something, right? And so, anyhow.
Well, I mean, like you said, there's so many different types of meditation techniques out there, and there's so many apps that you can do. And if you do find that you are not living in the moment, you're sort of thinking of the future, thinking of the past, and not really being in the present, then have you consider of trying a meditation practice? And I mean,
Yeah.
the pink bubble technique, the Vipassana, there's also
There's all
there's
sorts.
sorts of
All
ones,
sorts. Yeah.
but just get that, to be able to calm your mind down just for a few minutes is
It's
gold.
It is gold. Honestly, it wakes me up for my
Mm.
day. It really gets rid of the negative thought spirals that go on in my head. And if I don't meditate for 2 or 3 days, I notice that I'm way more judgmental about myself. I put myself down. I'm judgmental about other people. I might even have a bit of road rage. But if I've meditated in the morning, because I've been doing it quite long now, like I just accept what is. I've learned to say what is. Like this is what it is. This is maybe our audio doesn't work today very well. Well, it is what it is, right? Are we going to repeat this? No, we don't have the time. It's so hard to lock this man down.
I hope you hear everything I say. But,
But
but just back to that. I mean, the thing is like, that living in the moment can be exercise. The living in the moment
Yeah,
can be
beautiful.
that talking with people.
Yeah,
I find being able to have that ability, and men don't do it very well. We don't talk enough, whereas women talk really lots.
Well, that's how they relate, right?
Right. But I
We
do
go
find,
silent. We like being in our cave.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've taken on every day is just talking with a dear friend of mine every day.
Oh, nice.
And we spend like anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. We have a bit of a chat.
And you have a daily call.
A daily call.
It's
we
amazing.
do it Monday to Friday.
Amazing.
We have the weekends off.
Yeah.
And so that's a way of just sort of
That's
dumping
beautiful. Yeah.
all of that yada yada blah 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 that's in my head.
What a wonderful habit. And what does that do for you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, how many times has it talked me out of the anger and the stress and, the worry and the anxiety that I
So you're kind of coaching each other.
Yeah. Well, the whole idea is if I ask for coaching, he will coach me.
Right.
But he just creates a safe space.
Yeah,
he creates a really safe space for me to be able to share
Yeah.
whatever's on my mind.
And you trust that it's not going to be used against you or come back or
Right.
in some way. It's just you're there with your buddy and you're
That's
both
it.
sharing.
Yeah. And it does take something too, because first of all, sometimes you're just vomiting all over this person,
Sure.
and this
And
person,
you take up the whole 15 minutes,
and he will just take that on, and we always both share,
yeah,
and so what we do is we clear whatever's in our heads, and then we go into creating. What are we going to create for the day?
Beautiful.
And so my thing about creating is that it's such a really fun way of being able to set up my day. And that could be something like, I'm going to be powerful today, or I'm going to be empty and meaningless today, or be inspiring, or something like this. So that way I've got a place to live from for the day.
You and I have never talked about that. And what I think is really beautiful is I've been reading, I read regularly, kind of on a loop, Conversations with God, the 3 books. And then I read, I'm currently reading again, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however it's pronounced. And they talk about our purpose in life is creation. It's not discovery, it's creating. And I really genuinely believe that. And I love what I'm doing with Mad Success, because every day I'm creating. Every day you're creating. Every day is new. Every day is growth. Every day is learning. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's powerful. And creation drives purpose. Our why, how we contribute in a community, is all about how do we create better lives, better health, better contribution, right? And just doing more for others. And that's creation. And it's a beautiful part of it. Yeah. So one of the things that Nate just said, and this is a great habit. Now, I meet my friend Brian once a week, every Thursday morning for breakfast. So we do an hour, hour and a half, and it's the same thing. We share like this. You do it every day for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, which is awesome, Monday to Friday. But I do it once a week with the same guy, and we do the same thing. So we'll talk personal stuff if needed, and we'll talk business stuff. So we also help each other as entrepreneurs, and we help each other as men and as fathers, and in our lives. And so we have a very similar habit that way. So mine is weekly, yours is daily, Monday to Friday, and it's beautiful. So this is another success habit that we share in how we lead healthy lives. So another one that I wanted to bring up, and I know we're sort of getting on with time in our video here, but Another big one is having a life vision and life goals. Where do you want to go in your life? What goals are you setting? And I'm going to be launching a course soon at the end of March all about um, risk in investing. But a big part of it is what are called money timing needs and how we time our financial goals with our life goals. So if you want to get married, if you want to save for a deposit on your first home, you want to save up some money for a gym membership, whatever your goals are, whether they're short term, medium term, long term, there's usually some sort of financial element tied to it. And where most people get really stressed financially is they don't lay out what their life goals are. They don't create life goals, and then they don't align how they're investing and how they're managing their money in accordance with what those life goals are. For example, we should all have an emergency fund, a pool of money that if we lose our job or there's a medical emergency that insurance doesn't cover, we've got this pool of money that's sitting there uninvested. It's in cash, available immediately for any emergency that we have. Car breaks down and our car is our lifeline for, as a salesperson, say you're in US and your car is your life. You need it to drive for your work and so on. And it breaks down, you need money immediately. Now, some people say, well, I've got a credit card for that. Yeah, but then you're going into debt. Do you have the money then to pay off the credit card? If you do, great. Use the card for convenience and then immediately pay it off so you're not going into debt. And this is the whole point. So an emergency fund should never be invested, and that's a way to manage financial stress. And so this is one of the things we talk about, but it's all about having goals, having a vision, and then how do you align your financial goals with that?
Yeah, I love how you have this, your the pool of money at the side. I mean, that just already makes me feel less stressed already. And
Wow, okay, I know
great.
I've got this cash here.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to be able to build up that cash reserve, however small it may be.
Well, think about so here's the example. Nate's gym during COVID, during the pandemic, was shut for 10 months. I mean, you either had to borrow money like crazy, or you had to have a pot of cash that you used to pay for your mortgage, your rent, or you pay for your kids at school, pay for food, and you're just living your life.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what an emergency fund is for. And COVID exacerbated this for so many people. It's why the governments had to step in and actually give people money in the States and other countries, because people didn't have that pot. They didn't have the savings.
And it really did expose a lot of people that, we have been just sort of living day to day with our financial situation, that when something like this happened, we didn't have a backup.
No, we
didn't. And that was a really, poignant point, that 10 months of the drop of the income. Okay, well, how are we going to work around this? And we were very, very blessed that, we did have a savings that we were able to tap into.
Yeah. And you didn't even come and ask me to borrow money.
No, I didn't. I think I bought you a cup of coffee every now and then. But the thing was like, and then how do you use these sort of, okay, well, we're going to meet the government, because we created a fitness alliance. We met the government. The government also put a pool of money together to be able to give to the fitness industry.
Yeah.
So all of these ways, we were looking at ways of how to generate wealth. And one of the things, the mindset thing is like coming from a place of abundance. And when I came from a place of abundance, things just magically showed up.
Amazing. So not living in scarcity, but living in abundance.
Yes, yes. And abundance not as in money, but abundance through the people that I knew,
love,
like you.
Love
from
giving,
love. Abundance from my family, abundance from the
sharing time, sharing knowledge.
My gosh, I mean, I shot for 10 months, but did I go a day without having 3 meals a day? No.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these things, I think we also tapped into it as well, as just being grateful for the things that I had.
Yeah. But I want to go back to goals. Tell me about your goal setting process. Do you do an annual goal setting, or do you do a 6 month, or how do you set goals?
That's a really good question. So I have, I have a. So unscripted. So the main thing is like, first of all, I have a yearly first of all, I had a yearly, I write down what I want to achieve over the year.
Okay.
I also first summarize how my year before went.
Yep.
And then every 3 months, I read these goals on a daily basis, right? So
Fantastic.
it becomes a positive affirmation. When I read these goals,
so that's a great habit.
Yeah.
You set your annual goals, and Nate reads them every single day. I'm not as good as that. I have them on my wall. I write them out, and I know what I'm doing for the end of March or the end of May or June and December. But I should be reading them every day, and I don't. And I read them at least once or twice a week.
I think
it's a great habit to read your goals because it cements them.
Exactly, and that repetition is really important. I mean, the similarities between gaining that financial wealth and gaining a physical wealth is repetition. It's going into the gym and doing the reps and focusing on that goal.
Well, can I interrupt for a second? What's really interesting, another point that Nate and I discussed before this video was about indulgences and what I call budgeting for indulgences. And I think it's a really good point to fit in here, because if you know what your, say, 1-year goals or 3-year goals are, and you're looking at them every day, like Nate does, when your health goal is to lose 20 pounds, and you want to do that over the next 90 days, let's say, if you're not looking at that goal every day, if you don't have, let's say you weigh, I'll do it in pounds, but let's say you weigh 180 pounds and you want to be 160 pounds. So you should put 160 pounds, print out a page with 160 pounds and the date. Let's say that's June 30th, and you put that on your fridge and you put that on your bathroom mirror and you see it every day. It's a driving force to remind you of what your goal is and when it's coming, right? So when we talk about life goals, I wanted to talk about indulgences a little bit, because when we aren't focused on what our longer term goals are, whether it's short term, medium term, long term, we're more susceptible to indulgence. So financial indulgence is spending, right? Spending on things that weren't part of our budget, spending on things that, put us into debt. Physical indulgence, we know, is eating, right? It's not exercising, and it's eating. And it's eating those sugary foods or those processed foods or those things that, having those Dorito chips that we love, or, the molten lava cake that, just tastes so good, or having 6 beers on a Friday night. These are indulgences. And when we overeat, our indulgence turns into poor health. When we overspend, our indulgence turns into poor financial health, i.e. debt and lack of savings, right? So
I would add in there guilt.
But guilt comes into the fact that we're not focused on and living our goals.
Absolutely.
We're not focused on our goals. We're not reading them every day. And then we're allowing ourselves to slip. And then we guilt ourselves and we make ourselves feel bad, and we judge ourselves and we make ourselves wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or it will justify it and say, see, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But it does work. You've got to budget for your indulgences while you're focused on your goals.
Yeah.
And having indulgence is great. Spend the money, but build it into your budget. Build in what you value. If you value spending, 5 times a day on a Starbucks coffee or your favorite coffee, great. Just budget for it. If you want to have a gym membership, budget for it. It all ties into your health.
I do the same with health and fitness as well.
Right,
I call it the 80-20.
The 80-20, and I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
So the 80-20, why don't you talk about that, please?
Well, it's basically if I eat well for 80% of the time, it soaks up for my poor fun, if you want to call it fun, all the stuff that I used to do.
Yeah.
So 80-20 comes down to 4 good meals, 1 bad meal. Right? Or if I'm exercising, I have 4 days of exercise, I have 1 day off.
Yeah.
Or like you said, you have those days where you have beers or whatever. Like same deal. I don't have beers for 4 to 5. I mean, generally I only drink 1 day a week. But my point being is it taps into that 80-20.
Yeah. I love that.
I could be drinking every single night of the week.
Correct.
But I don't, because I know that I can indulge in that 20%, and I know leaving a place from health will soak up for that 20%.
Yeah, and this is what I do. If I'm going to have a beer, if I'm going to have a drink, I'll do it on either Friday or Saturday night. I don't do both. And then the rest of the week, I just I don't drink. Well, I'm at that age now where it doesn't really matter to me. When I was in my 20s, sure, we drank regularly, almost daily, right? But these days I don't. So what's interesting about setting goals, and if you have weight loss goals or you have saving and investing goals towards, something like a wedding or a car or a trip or retirement or whatever it is, allow yourself the indulgences during the journey. You've got to live your life. You've got to have fun. So build that into it.
And when I have clients, right, I give them that out, because gosh, I mean, you've got to think that the people that I'm training are people that have come from an unhealthy lifestyle anyway.
Sure.
And to be able to go, hey, it's 100% or nothing, is just that stress
brutal.
in itself.
That's brutal.
It's stress already.
Yeah.
So giving them the acts of having 1 or 2 or even 3 days of being able to, do whatever they want to do, gives them, they're like, oh, great. Because like I said, this is a marathon. It ain't a sprint, right?
This is long-term planning.
This is what we're going to do until we die.
Yeah.
Whether that's 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 or whatever that may be, we want to make sure that, if you want to have that indulgence, you can have that indulgence, but you've planned for it.
Yeah. Beautiful. So the last thing that I want us to talk about quickly and kind of summarizes everything we're talking about is what I would call self-love.
I love it.
So what does that mean to you?
Self-love. Well, first of all, it's cutting myself some slack whenever I do drop the ball and doing those sort of things. And also having
not beating yourself up.
Yeah. And having the pride and having the confidence that I can live a healthy lifestyle as well. So, that's a lot of the things that, people don't want to start doing their health because they don't trust themselves as they're getting that in their guilt. So self-love is first of all, like I said, 80-20 is really important for me because it gives me an out. I think self-love for me is not only loving myself for who I am, but also being that person in front of others.
Yeah, of course.
As well.
Showing up as that.
And continually showing up as that.
Who do you want to be as a person for the people in your life?
Absolutely.
Who are you showing up as?
Yeah, I think being able to show up in that way consistently.
As a choice.
Yes.
As a choice. Are you going to show up angry, vengeful? Are you showing up, frustrated? Are you showing up pissed off? Or are you showing up calm and in
grateful,
in being grateful and loving and giving? It's
and a lot of your a lot of you guys out there may have done a lot of this work.
Sure.
So you've got to really show that compassion for others too that haven't done this work.
Yeah.
And if they haven't done this work, who are you being in the face of them?
Yeah. So self-love for me is all that we've talked about. It's meditating so that I calm my mind. And that's being good to me. That's loving myself. So 2022 was my designated year of self-love. And so what did I do that year? I really was good to myself in terms of my body, how I ate, how I exercised and stretched. I was really caring to myself about my mind, with meditation and journaling, really conscious of being, when I get triggered, if my son was triggering me or my, significant other was triggering me or a sibling or someone at work, how was I being triggered and what was the reaction and catching it before I created a negative response in a relationship. And that's, to me, these are the kinds of things as habits that become self-love. And that's living in the moment. Being aware of your triggers is living in the present, being so aware of your physical presence and your emotional presence when you're speaking with someone, when you're engaging with someone. I used to be the guy back in my 30s. I was the angry expat. I would show up at the airline counter, and if my flight was delayed or something happened and they weren't going to fix it for me, damn it, I was going to get pissed off and let them know that I needed to be looked after. I need to be pampered. I'm a VP of this bank. You need to look after me. What a tosser, right? Like, it was so bad. That was me back then. And God, what an awful way to live. right?
I can relate to that too.
But I know, but it's so the antithesis
Yeah.
of self-love.
Mm.
It's self-loathing.
Mm.
Are you really that person? Do you really want to represent yourself to your family and your friends and the community as that? I mean, come on. You're not. What kind of life is that? So that's a bit of a judgmental statement. My point here is self-love is so important. It's about non-judgment. It's about not judging yourself, not judging others, not judging circumstances, not blaming, and not being a victim either. It's about taking responsibility for yourself and owning who you are and deciding, choosing who you want to become, who you want to be every day in the moment with the people that you love and that you're surrounded by in your community on an everyday basis. And on that note, I think we've covered a heck of a lot today. We were going to top it off with sort of 3 sort of top tips, but I think we've given about 100.
Yeah, well, just to sort of summarize that thing, from a physical point of view, the 3 things, I mentioned my 6 pillars of health.
Yeah.
But to sort of put them into 3 points, the 3 points that I always say with people is like, first, make sure you're getting movement in your day.
Yes.
Make sure you're eating well.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the first one is living a healthier lifestyle. And they're the 3 things that I like people to focus on for the physical point.
So repeat that again. So it's
movement.
Yep. Whatever that means to you. Just get up and move.
Yeah, movement.
Doesn't have to be running a marathon.
It doesn't have to be running a marathon. It could be like a 20-minute YouTube yoga clip if you wanted to do it,
or even just walk around the block if that's what it takes. Just
exactly,
moving.
Exactly. Taking the dog out for a walk.
Yeah.
And then the nutrition part, 80-20 is such a big piece.
Eat those veggies.
Eat those veggies, man. But give yourself some slack that you've got that opportunity to eat 20% as well.
Yeah.
And then of course the third one is lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
And living your life.
But is this not? These 2 are part of lifestyle, though.
Yeah, they are. They are. But the thing is with the lifestyle part is taking those other aspects of health. So mindset is I consider it lifestyle.
Yeah.
Hydration.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah, hydration. Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is also part of that lifestyle piece.
So
but it can be so
your top
influenced
3
by
tips
that
are kind of stretching out.
Well, the 3. Well, I said the sleep,
but lifestyle
the
is that kind of all encompassing.
Yeah, exactly. The sleep, the mindset,
beautiful.
the breathing, all in the lifestyle part. Nutrition is hydration and nutrition, and of course the movement part.
Beautiful. So my top 3 are really the 3 principles of MAD success. And for those that know, MAD stands for mindset, attitude, and discipline. And these are the 3 principles how I have been resilient in my life, how I've bounced back from failure, from loss, and so on. And that's a growth mindset. The view that if I fail or make a mistake, I learn from it and I try again. It doesn't bring me down and I don't get stuck. I try again. So a growth mindset. Attitude of gratitude, really being grateful while striving for more. And then the last is discipline, and that's goal-focused discipline. So having goals and I'm disciplined towards how I achieve them. And so those are my top 3, mindset, attitude, discipline. And those are the pillars, 3 principles of MAD success. So Nate, thank you. I really enjoyed this. I hope that our community out there does as well. Probably went a little bit longer than we thought it would. But
it was an absolute pleasure again, man. Like
beautiful.
I get so much from these because I can see, like you said, I can see a lot of similarities between your physical health and your financial health.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for it. Please subscribe to Elite Personal Training.
So my YouTube channel is Evolve, Progress, Transform. That's a really good one. So
Evolve, Progress, Transform.
Yes,
beautiful.
EPT.
Yeah.
EPT.
Oh, fantastic. So mine is the Mad Success channel, or at mad.success on YouTube. So thanks very much, everybody, and stay healthy.
Bye.